I enjoyed the switching on of the lights in Harrogate this week, the Christmas lights. In fact, the Christmas lights were already on for most of the town. I left work at 5 o'clock and I was a bit shocked as I was walking home, because I live right in the town centre, that all the lights were on, because I believe there was a big ceremony to turn on the lights at about 6 o'clock, you see. And I was a bit like, oh no, I've missed it. So I went to the area where they were having the big switch on, and just for that little area around the Victoria Shopping Centre, all the lights were still off. So they they were going to do a little sort of switch on with, you know, just a few lights around there. That seems to be the Harrogate way, but there we are. So I watched that. I also saw there was music playing as well. You know, we had various bands from different schools around the area, which was nice. After that, I went to St Peter's Church, which is my parish church, but it's not the church that I generally go to, because they were doing a Christmas carol service that was going to be aired on BBC Radio York. And that's where the music that you heard earlier came from. And basically it's being shown twice. It's being shown towards the end of this month at the start of Advent. I think it's Advent Sunday, in fact. And it's being shown again on Christmas Eve. So that's radio, and I was there. I took part in that. So it did feel a bit early to be singing those songs, but there we are. I have to admit that I have been spending less time on the forum recently. This is because of something I have called Project Blueprint, which is basically it's a list of areas in which I'd like to work for employment purposes, obviously, and I'm actually putting in a remarkable amount of effort in trying to get another job, basically. I know I said this in blogs before, and there was a time when I sort of dithered a little bit in looking at other jobs, but it's come up again because because of my financial status, I just basically need to get another job that's a little bit more high paying, which wouldn't be difficult, because almost any job, full-time job that I go on from will be paying more. Because I can't keep up the lifestyle that I want to, even with the MMA, visiting the MMA places, unless I do that. So that's really become quite a priority for me. This is not helped by people like Pastor Chris, who I've had a run-in again this week. You know, he's all legalism. That's part of the problem. That's part of the thing I dislike about him. Apart from the fact he's terribly judgmental, you know, he believes, of course, that I'm just paying lip service to being a Christian. He has also, in the past, been in favour of salvation won and lost. He claims that he was just playing devil's advocate, but could have fooled me at the time. And he's basically legalism, you know, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, otherwise God won't help you, sort of thing. I don't work like that, and I don't think a lot of Christians work like that. Certainly nobody has jumped to his aid. He has done a lot to upset people on the forum. You know, he's been in various discussions where he's upset people enough that they have dropped out from for serious amounts of time being on the forum. He's probably not aware of it. You know, there are a lot of people I know that also now just don't register him. They've got him on ignore. And I just think it's a bit sad. I think that perhaps he should just relax a little bit. Not relax on his views, but notice that perhaps, you know, God is a little bit bigger than just this legalistic, you know, you should be healed. For example, I will be healed of my homosexuality if I just fast enough. No, it just doesn't work like that. I don't know why anybody would think it would. He is too legalistic, and Jesus had a lot to say about Pharisees in the Jewish tradition, which were just like that. All law, and yet no understanding and no almost reality of what it is to live in a sinful existence. I also want to mention some of my WEC supports, particularly some that surprised me. There are a lot of people who said, again with the comments on some of my things, that Karen Darabedian would do well against Razor, and he seemed to do well. I think he got a decision victory. I can't quite remember with that. I certainly remember he won. I was a bit surprised that I think Danny Castillo lost as well. Elsie Davis won, which is fantastic. I met him not so long ago, and you can see if you look in my profile that I have a video with him as well. Cub Swanson won. Boo. Don't like him. Of course, the main thing to mention with that was that Josie Aldo... Oh, I think Leonard Garcia lost, if I remember rightly, which is a bit sad for me, because he was one of my biggest picks. But what I was going to say is that one of the things that I was... one of the highlights for me was that Josie Aldo won the championship. Now, I have to say that I have absolutely no problem with Mike Brown at all. I think that, unfortunately, people don't give him the respect that he deserves. He did beat Uriah Faber twice at championship level, and I don't think people understand that and give him his due for that. I think that he was a perfectly acceptable champion. He had no problems, skill, no problems with character at all. But Josie Aldo I saw as was, one of these unbeaten prospects who would probably, there was a high chance he wouldn't win. I wanted him to win. I said that I didn't really mind who won, but that if he won I would be sort of pleasantly surprised, and he did win. And bless him, they showed him at UFC 106 in attendance, and he just looks like he hasn't stopped beaming about it all week. In our prayers, I think we need to remember somebody on the forum who wishes still to remain anonymous. I've mentioned a couple of times this person in our prayer section in the blog before. It's somebody who's pregnant with twins, and one twin is not doing so well during the pregnancy. I have heard this past week that one of the twins has now died in utero. So I think we should remember in our prayers, there is another twin that is still alive. But I think we should remember the parents here, one of which certainly is a forum patron of ours. And we should also, there was a point where the medical people were saying, you should abort because there's no way this twin will survive. And although he hasn't, props to them for saying, if he dies, he dies, but we're not going to give up on him simply because the medical opinion is that he won't survive. They have done their duty as parents and as Christians.